Hi, I'm Don, and this is the first time that I'm doing an YouTube origami tutorial, and I will be teaching you how to fold this origami Jirachi that is a legendary Pokemon designed by INO87 underscore. The links of his Twitter and Instagram with that username will be in the description below. So please check out his designs on Instagram and Twitter. And the crease pattern of this design, as I've redrawn one here, is available on his Instagram too. This model is done by a 16 by 16 box pleating, so basically we should start by making the boxes first. We'll start by folding the paper in half, like so. Make sure the corners match the corners. And we'll do the same on the other side. I prefer facing the white side up and facing the colored side down. There is a reason for doing so. So this is basically 2 by 2, and we'll do 4 by 4, which is made by folding this to the middle. Oh, I don't even know if my cat has me in there. And we'll do the same on the opposite. And on the other side. Not quite pleasant sound these are. And here we have 4 by 4. And now to make 8 by 8, we'll do something similar, which is to fold the bottom of the paper to each of these lines. Sorry about that. And the other way around we'll do the same. And the other way around we'll do the same and do basically we have these 2 lines, and of course on this side you will also do these 4 lines, and you will have the 8 by 8 squares. And here we have the 8 by 8 squares. Now for the 16 by 16 squares, we're actually going to flip to the back of the paper and do it on the colored side. There is a reason for doing so, and it basically makes the whole process easier. So we'll do something very similar by folding the bottom of the paper to each line. But if I am to put this simpler, just fold each of these in half like so. And again, we'll do all these lines over here, 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 and on the other side too, to make a 16 by 16 square. So basically we will now have a 16 by 16 box square. I am terribly sorry, oopsie, because my iPad ran out of storage, so basically whatever I just did on this paper, all these diagonals are lost. But anyway, again, we now have the 16 by 16 square, 16 by 16, and make sure, if you look at it on the side, the diagonals are like this. The white side should be on this side and the colored side should be on this side. This will make the process simpler. And now let's look at the crease pattern. And we will start by folding the bottom 4 boxes, the bottom 4 rows I should say, and the bottom 4 rows, which is this diagonal and this diagonal. So bottom 4 rows, this diagonal. bottom 4 rows and bottom 4 columns, or whatever rows and columns are. This diagonal right here, and we'll do the same on the other side and make this diagonal only for 4 boxes. Now up until the 4th box we will start doing this zigzag pattern and doing these stuff. The horizontal lines and the vertical lines are basically already done by the box, the 16 by 16 boxes, so we can ignore these ones. So the fourth, and we have one down on the right, one down on the right. We'll do it like this. 4th row, one down on the right, just one box. Do the same on the other side, just one box. And after this down, we go up, and then the 4th one, and then here we'll do one that is up by just one box. So we'll have this line, and then we'll do 1, 2, 3 downwards from this up. So 1, 2, 3 downwards. 3 downwards. Again, these should not exist, but footage is lost. So we'll do the same on the other side. The 4 up, 1 down, the 1 up, and then the 3 downwards. Just 3 downwards. And then after we make the 3 downwards, we'll make these two, and basically it's just using these 2 points with this point and pinch a little bit on the bottom. Same over here. And there we will make everything below on the bottom 4 rows. Now I just forgot to mention that this point should be the middle line. So this should be the middle of the square, so in case you got anything wrong, that it is not the middle, then you got something wrong. So the 4th boxes, the bottom 4, we're basically done with the bottom 4. Oops. And now we'll move on to the 5th, which is nothing, because there's only vertical lines, and the 6th, there's something here, which actually connects to the 7th, and so we'll do those two. 4, 5, 6, 7, and so, and the middle cross of the 6th and 7th, and we'll do a cross on the 6th and 7th. So 2 boxes only, and on the other side 2 boxes, like so. We'll have the cross in the middle, and we'll also do 2 diagonals on the side of the cross that goes up. So we'll fold this like so, because I've just done it. It's up, and the other way up to the left. Also these 2. The 6th and 7th row up. And for the 8th and 9th, it's basically the same. So across here, but this time 2 downwards. Let's do the cross first. And the cross above the cross. Above the cross. And then the 2 downwards, basically here, here, and left to the cross, here. And we will have this hexagon. Now, after finishing the bottom 9 rows, we are going to start working on everything above. And as I have said, everything above is a bit more complicated, but we always start with the easier stuff, which are these 45 diagonals, and we'll start with the, and so 10th empty, 11, 12. We'll start with this zigzag pattern. And so first 2 down from the 12th to the 11th, and then we'll do 2 up, which is should be it. Yep, 2 up and 2 down again. Oh. Better check if it's accurate. 2 down again and 2 up to the middle line. Yep. And repeat on this side. Down, up, and down again and up again. Down again, and finally up again by just 2 boxes. So this zigzag pattern will complete the 45 degrees of this red zigzag pattern. And 14, go down 2. Down 2 and up 3. So this to the 15. Down 2, up 3 to the 15th row, and then this one is also 3, but it converges at the 2. So 2 plus 1, 3. Start with this point. Go up 3, converge, and 1 more. Gosh, that's incorrect. And then after this 3, we'll actually go up all the way to the top, where we go up 4. Across the middle point. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here. Yep. And then it's basically a gigantic cross, so we'll do the same on here. 4. Cross. That's about right. And then we'll do again the 3 up until this point, so 3 up. Oops, that went way too down. And we're from this to this, leaving 2 columns, a 3. That crippled the paper. That, see, 3. Squish it harder, and 2 goes back up with this one. After these, we'll work on the smaller things. Like so. Goes back up. And here we have the larger zigzag patterns that are in red above here, and we'll now do the ones in with basically this diamond shape and a little bit of the upper ones, which is also right between the crosses. So we'll do the upper one from the middle line to 2 columns, 2 diagonal downwards. Two downwards, and the other side two downwards on to the left from the middle point, and then we'll do 2 upwards from the 12th to the 14th. And this is really crude. The other side, make sure everything lines up. And there we have the diamond shape. So anything that remains that is actually between the 16 squares should be these upper ones, which are, yep, right here. So let's do it. Just one box here. And then from this point, just this one is empty, and this one too. This one goes up to there's a small triangle here. So basically, yep, a small triangle, and we'll do the same on this side. Another small triangle. Now let's move on to the irregulars, which are these lines, which I consider easier than the part above. So basically this means we can ignore the 12th to 16th row, these 3 rows, whatever these 3 are. So let's ignore these. You don't have to fold it back, just that I think it's easier to understand. And we'll focus on these 3 rows, which are these 3 rows, and we'll do this line first, which is done by folding this line to the red line here. So it's done by folding this line to this diagonal line. Generate with a pencil. Like so. Remember, you just have to fold until the first vertical line, because there's where it ends, and it's the same with this part. Now this line and the lines in between are a little more trickier to fold. So we'll have to pinch this one, which is the vertical line right next to the diagonal line, and we'll fold this. Yes, this is hard. And we'll fold this line to the diagonal. Like so, we will get this part, and basically we'll now get these 2. And for this line, of course, we just have to connect these 2 points, so this line. And for this one, let's try. The tip of the 2 here and here will fold just between the tip of the 22.5 diagonal, these 2 that we just folded, which is this one. And then we'll connect it to form this obtuse triangle, which is from this point to the point here. Yep, like so. And this point too, like so. Oh, sorry, this must be covering. So the bottom triangle, and for the top, this 2 lines is made by folding this horizontal line to the 45 diagonal. Let's put the pencil away. So again, the top horizontal line to the diagonal. Just fold it until around the second, until here actually, we just leave. And again, the trickier part goes when it gets to the middle. So let's focus on, so let's do this. Oops. We are leaving with just the 4 columns, and we'll fold this vertical to the diagonal on the 45. Now basically we have to repeat this pattern for 3 more times, and I will repeat this just one more on the thing in the middle because it's a bit special. So again, fold this paper and fold this line to the diagonal, like so. We just need it to this point, and then the other diagonal that's in between the 2 reverse triangles, and like so. Yeah, basically for this other side, just do it this way, and then using this line to photograph these 2 lines. And then this has been repeated, so just do this line like so. Find the tips that we just did, these 2 tips, and we fold an extra line below what was supposed to be the 16 by 16 horizontal line, like this, and then we'll connect this point to this point, which is basically this point to this point, and this point to this point. So this point to this point, and this point to this point. Like so. Like so. Yep, that's pretty accurate. And then, again, we'll focus on just this 4 columns because we're just doing so. So we're folding it this way and taking this line and fold it towards the diagonal over here. Towards the diagonal. One side and the other side. These 2 are the diagonal, so that's basically a repetition of this, and just repeat it on this side too, and you'll get the 4 weirdly shaped thing. Now, I hope that you have completed the remaining 2 of these shapes on your own as I've done here, and so we'll move on to these 2 parts are equally complicated, but I guess we'll just move over to the 13th and 14th row because that's just 2 repeated symmetrical shapes. So basically this 4 cube here is the 13th and 14th row, and the last 2 columns is next to the paper here. And as you may see, this is 1 box, this is 1 box, so this is actually in between, and this 2 points are actually in between these 2 points. So because we have to find the point around here and here, we'll actually fold this column in half, like so, just around the point so that we notice the point, and this row in half too. Again, just the first box, so that I guess this would be an easier way to do it. Just the first box so that you notice this point. And so this, and then these 2 points are also the middle between this column and this column, the 2 columns. So we'll do this, but this time it's over here around, and then the column, and basically we'll divide the 2 boxes into 4 columns, and then this point will be connected a diagonal downwards around here. Now because on the top 4, these top 4 rows will actually be the hair, or the head part, this head part of the Jirachi, so it's fine to draw on the white side because it's not going to show anyways. So this diagonal and this diagonal is here, just as the 2 boxes that we just folded, and we'll actually be connecting these 2 diagonals with fold. Now mind very carefully because these are all new lines, and we'll be folding this diagonal, and then we're actually going deeper, holding this as we're finished folding, and there should be a diagonal right here, and we'll actually pinch it so that it connects like so, and then there should be the half of the column here around here, and we'll actually fold this line so that it connects with the diagonal here. Like so. It does not reach all the way, but yes, it does not reach all the way. Like so, the vertical, diagonal, and when you expand it, you'll get this sort of diamond shape right here. Anyway, you should see the picture, which is this thing over here, and you just repeat it on the other side, but of course in a symmetrical way over here. Now, I think what I just did may not be very clear, so I've raised up everything and yeah, make everything clearer. So again, the 15th row is this two combined. This is I don't know, this is the 16th, 15th, 13th, and 14th and 13th. So 14th and 13th, it's this two square. And so we'll first do this diagonal already exists, as you see over here, and so we'll start by focusing on this point, this point, this point, this point, which actually does not exist because it's actually in between over here around. And so we will fold all these, the 4 squares, these 4 squares into 16 squares, a 4 by 4 by folding it in half like so, taking the bottom of the 13th to fold to the top of the 13th, and the top of the 14th to the excuse me, to the bottom of the 14th, and now we have 4 rows, and we'll do the same so that there will be 4 columns instead of just 2. Yes. 2, 3, and we'll do the same on this side. Go to the middle column. So as you see, there will be 4, 4, 4, 4, 16 squares in this 4 squares in that instead of 4 squares like in other squares. And so we'll actually start working on the 2 diagonal lines, which is this line and this line, which is one above, so one above this point, so this line should be around here, and this point should again one. We're not using this small column, we're using the one next to it, so this one. So we're folding these 2 diagonals like so. Now that's one, and now the second one is here. So now we have this 2 diagonals. Sorry about those lines. These are really unclear, so I'll cross them out. These 2 lines, but to fold this diamond shaped in the middle, is actually better to just fold the whole thing across, so we have 3 small boxes diagonal. Again, it's small boxes, not the big ones, small ones. And after you do this, we'll actually be using this diagonal line that we folded a long time ago. This diagonal line, well, what we did was like this. Well, we actually use this diagonal line. So after you fold this diagonal line should still appear, and you will do something like this and pinch the whole thing, like so. And now the light is too bright for anyone to notice anything. So again, this is the small column on the side. We'll actually be using this line and folding the top part to this line, the whole thing, the whole thick thing, so that it forms something like this. That does not reach all the way to the bottom of the yellow part. This thing. And after you unfold everything, you should see a very clear diamond shape that is exactly what we want in here. So now we can move on to the top part, which is basically this 8 squares from here to here. And as you see, this line is also existing between the two, between the 15th and the 16th. So that means we'll have to fold those in half also. So as the original designer puts it in the Instagram, this part is actually more of a 32 square box pleating. Just for this part. More so than a 16 for the rest of the model. You don't have to understand what I mean, just it's for people who know what is box pleating. And again we'll fold the top to the center line, this time for a longer distance, for 4 of the big boxes. And we'll do this line because it's simpler, this red line, which is actually between these two tips. So around here, right? That's accurate. The line that is here. For this line, this is actually the 16th over here, so we have already done it. And now moving on, and this line is also this line, and that is why we have to move on to these very small 45 diagonals. And of course we have to make by folding the columns in half too. I should just look at my paper instead of the camera. Like so, for 4 small rows or 2 big boxes, and same on the other side. Like so. And now after we have made these subdivided squares, we're going to work on these small diagonals. We will not be using this part, and we'll start from these 4. So 1, 2, 3 small box, and down. Now that's these 4, and then the thing over on this side. Across at the center. I was way off. last triangle at the bottom. Here we will have completed this part. So we'll move on to the other side and do the same thing, starting with dividing them into smaller squares first. Since there's nothing here on these first two squares, let's not subdivide them this time. Starting with the second column and the third column. Now we'll do the same thing, just mirrored. The same thing on the next small column and a big cross at the middle. And finally the small triangle at the bottom. And there, we're basically done with the entire crease pattern.